Hey everybody, Dan here with Pain Free You. Today I want to talk about learned pain, which is a great concept. Because many people, hold on. I don't want to forget the breathing. Breathe in the peace, exhale the chaos. Breathe in the clarity, exhale the doubt. That last one was for you. So learned pain. It's a really, really important concept. Because there's people who've been in this TMS space for a lot of years. And they keep on searching through their past and their history and trying to find that one darn emotion that's causing all this mess. And I understand why that happens. I mean, Dr. Sarno was pretty explicit in his books that the brain is trying to distract you from repressed negative emotions, primarily anger and rage, that are threatening to burst into consciousness. And yes, I know some of the stories he wrote about in his book led you to believe that, if you find that emotion, boom, you're going to be better. The problem is that the reason you had pain start in the first place is likely not the same reason it's persisting today. Right? Listen to that again. The reason your pain started is likely not the same reason that it's persisting today. So I think what happens is we get a pain, we get scared, we go to the doctors, we try all sorts of treatments, medications, practices, you name it. Nothing seems to work. So we become traumatized by all the medical doctors' treatments, medical labels, diagnoses, failed treatments, statements, and nocebos that are given to us that tell us, hey, you're broken, you should learn to live with this, and all this crap. And so we come out of the medical process terrified. Now, at some point, we've been blessed enough to hear about this Dr. Sarno guy and the work that he's done, that he's been putting out there probably since the 80s, 70s. I don't know exactly when he started figuring this stuff out, but many decades. And you've stumbled upon, in my opinion, one of the most profound shifts in medicine that nobody's heard about, that none of your doctors will tell you about. And I don't say none, but very, very, very few of them. And so you're blessed to have found this work. And not because you found me, but I mean like the original, Dr. Sarno. And there's some people still doing amazing work. Dr. Schubner, Dr. David Clark, Dr. Strax, Dr. Hanscom, Dr. Schechter. And there's a lot of other less well-known medical doctors who are TMS doctors. My point is, lost my train of thought. Doesn't happen very often. Learned pain. Sorry. Thank you for bearing with me. The point is, the reason that the pain started is not the same reason that it persists today. And overall, you've heard me talk about it, I'm going to talk about it again, perceived danger. The perception that your body is failing you, is broken, is damaged, is ill, is falling apart, creates this fear and this perception of danger in the brain that's likely keeping things going. And if you have had stressful days and your symptoms have ramped up, you're now afraid of stress. If you've had an argument with somebody in your family or a friend or an ex-friend and your symptoms have ramped up, you are now afraid of, combative conversations. If you've had any type of a life stressor happen and your symptoms have ramped up, you are now afraid of that situation. If you've ever made a physical movement and it has hurt more, you have now become afraid of those physical movements. Your brain is tracking and keeping log of all of these perceived dangers, which is why it can seem like we're so darn sensitive. Why is my brain so sensitive? I just had a stressful thought or a stressful time at work, and bam, next thing I knew, my back was hurting again. How come that can happen? Well, because the brain's just really always on the lookout for danger. That being said, if the brain can learn to become hypersensitive, hypervigilant, always looking out for danger, the brain can also learn and be taught by you that it doesn't have to be so darn vigilant, and that these perceived dangers it's finding, oh look, danger, 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 danger. Well, it's our job to teach the brain that, hey, that's not really dangerous. It's not. Emotions are not dangerous unless you believe they are, right? How do we teach the brain that emotions are not dangerous? By actually feeling them. Exposure therapy to emotions. How do we teach the brain that your body is okay? Well, a relaxed body is a great starting point. Breathing comfortably as opposed to shallow breathing is another great point. But overall, there's also the 6 steps to resuming activity. We can retrain the brain that those activities it's afraid of are not really dangerous. You know, teach your brain that even your own thinking doesn't have to cause physical symptoms or pains. How? By not taking your own darn thoughts so seriously, right? Don't freak out. Calm reassurance. Move towards indifference. So what? You know, the acceptance, whatever, right? And then shift your attention more towards doing normal things, re-engaging in life as much as you can. Even if it's going to hurt, do it anyway because you're going to hurt sitting at home, right? I see this every day with my coaching clients, my group coaching clients. People are stepping out and doing more and more and more. And they're loving it because they're taking their life back. They're getting it back. And they're enjoying themselves more. And they're smiling more. And they're proud of themselves because they're not sitting at home all the time. So, learned pain. We can unlearn it. And look, Dr. Schubner, his book says, unlearn your pain. And he maps out his approach for it. My approach is teaching yourself you're safe. In your emotions, in your physical body, in your thinking. And particularly, how do you respond when you notice the symptoms? If every time you notice the symptoms you get pissed off or upset or scared and you freak out, your brain's not going to perceive safety. It's not going to dial down the system. You're going to keep on pumping the adrenaline, the cortisol, staying in the stress response. I don't believe that is the way through or forward on this journey. Safety messages consistently, over and over again. And I know you may be feeling bored and that this stuff isn't working, but I guarantee you it's going to work a heck of a lot better than the opposite approach, which is fear, frustration, anger, being pissed off, being terrified of your symptoms. So learned pain. Neuroplasticity is the mechanism, but we don't have to become neural retraining specialists. Focus on what you want, and the brain will create that. Focus on what you don't want, it's going to keep that persistent too, such as pain or other symptoms. Neuroplastic, it's the brain. So give it the direction that you want it to point in. Focus on what you want, not what you don't want. You know, where you want to go is out the windshield. It's not in the rearview mirror. And staring at your symptoms all day is only going to get you more symptoms. It's not going to get rid of them. So, learned pain, learned symptoms. You can definitely unlearn them. And so don't forget that, you know, a few years in, if you've already addressed and resolved the emotional chaos or challenges that you had at the time your symptoms started, you may not need to do more emotional work or more emotional digging. Yes, feel your right now emotions so that they don't build up and create chaos. But you may not have to keep going back in time and searching for that one long lost, needle in the haystack. If you've already done that work, if you've already journaled, if you've already done therapy, if you've already been very well in touch with your past emotional life, you may not have to do that again. You may just be able to focus completely on consistent messages of safety and still get well. How do I know that? Because I hear that from my audience and my coaching clients all the time. Can't tell you how many people say, oh God, I'm so glad I don't have to keep on digging up the past. because they've done it. I'm not saying don't ever do it. If you've never done it, it might be a really good idea. But if you've done it already and it hasn't borne fruit, maybe it's time to shift your attention towards teaching your brain that you're already safe with these consistent messages of safety that I talk about. So learned pain. To me, that's where the action is here. And the way to unlearn it is through consistent messages of safety. So, love you guys and gals, and we'll see you tomorrow.